Hey guys, Pack TV here, and today we are back for another episode of Content Converse, and today we are joined by MYKAR.
Oh,
So, just to quickly start off, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Uh, I just finished getting ready for the day.
So, let's just get started. So the name MYKAR, how did that actually come to be? Did that start just like back when you first got online, or is there anything special, or is it just a name you came up with one day?
I think it was back in early college. I had been using pretty dumb IGNs until then, and I figured I needed one that would kind of stick to me. When I was younger, I would go to my best friend's place, and randomly he called me, "Hey, Makar, Makar," and I'm like, "What's a Makar?" And he's like, "You don't know? He's from Legend of Zelda." I was like, "What? Which one?" And it was Wind Waker. There's a little guy there. His name is Makar, and I figured like, you know what? It kind of sounds like my name, so I'll just go with that. And I combined my name and Makar, and there you have it.
So obviously you're an artist, or specifically a pixel artist on social media and whatnot. When did you start doing art like that, and did it always start with pixel art?
I've always been interested in art since I was little.
Hmm.
Um, I was pretty much exposed to a ton of media. I was a 90s kid. I grew up a 90s kid, and I was exposed to all the Disney movies back when they were 2D animated.
Hmm.
And oh yeah, of course, like video games, right?
Right.
I did a lot of drawings. Well, I wasn't aware of pixel art back then.
Hmm.
I guess I started drawing since I was a kid, but I kind of stopped as I grew up. I never really pictured doing art as a career. It was never really presented to me um, as I was growing up because none of my family members were artists and they were very traditional. They would typically have the idea of like, oh, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer, like bullshit like that.
Yeah, like some like high and proper, well-paying job kind of thing.
Yeah, like all like traditional stuff, like
Yeah.
quote unquote the proper way.
Hmm.
So I grew up that way, and I did things. I followed that road. Didn't work out for me. I almost failed out of college.
Mm.
It was an engineering course. I figured I needed to shift into something more interesting to me. So I went into industrial design
Hmm.
and kind of slowly feeling my way, like leaning myself more into the arts because I found out that I was more of a person that was driven by interest more than anything else, like interest and passion.
Right.
I went into industrial design. I graduated, kind of still following traditional routes. I
Hmm.
graduated, I got my degree. I applied for a job. It sounded nice. It was a design assistant. It was a design assistant for he's a furniture designer where I'm
Right.
from, and he's a little popular with the affluent people.
Hmm.
So I got in, and I was happy. I was like, whoa, shit, I'm assistant designer, and I finally got into the job, and I did zero designing. I did zero. I did zero designing. I was like, I went to school for like how many years?
What,
I got my degree. I'm doing nothing of what I worked hard for.
what was the job of the assistant designer if not designing?
So assist, right? So that's the he tricked me with that word assist, right? But all of the assistance I did was grunt work. Like I was carrying shit. I was doing filing, like filing papers and shit, like all of these documents. And it's like, wow, okay, so yeah, sure, assistant. It's more like an assistant to the designer, not like a design assistant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's like they put the assistant in bold text, and then designers like small on the side next to it.
Yeah, right. I did that for a couple years. One day they had like a meeting, and it was all about cost cutting.
Hmm.
And since I was the newest guy in the company, they laid me off, right? Like that's
Right.
that's how I say it. and I was jobless. So it was a really hard time for me, especially because my family at that time was in a pretty bad financial struggle. I needed that money. Even it was like a shitty salary, I needed that.
Right.
But the time off really gave me a lot of time to think, It's like this is bullshit. Like I'm doing it the way my parents have been telling me, and it's not working out.
Mm-hmm.
And I go online and talk to people, and it's pretty much the same for them. So I figured, you know what, if this isn't working out, and if this isn't working out, I should try something else. So I pretty much asked myself, like, okay, so what do you like doing? And I did a bit of soul searching, and I was like, well, you've always liked art and video game. So what can you do with these two things? So maybe become a video game artist, asset artist. Luckily during that time, my best friend has been working for another friend of ours in a little startup making video games. So I applied. They took me in because it's a startup company. And indie devs usually make what kind of game, right?
Right.
Usually in pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done pixel art, so I was kind of nervous. But that's what they were asking for. And, they had these pixel art magazines with them. And I didn't know there were such magazines full of beautiful pixel art. I've always thought that this pixel art was only in video games, but it was also applicable as like people just make pixel art just for art. It doesn't have to be for video game. And a lot of these things I just found like it really started kind of a fire inside of me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of creating like a Mario that someone would play and have like an awesome time is just I love that. I love that idea. So
Creating something that people like just can enjoy, like even if it's like one person or something, like as long as like somebody got enjoyment out of it, that you'll feel like that satisfaction.
for sure, yeah. Like I think for every creator, regardless of what regardless of what we're making, I think the greatest joy that we can get is people using what we have made and just being happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea of creation and just people enjoying it is a really strong drive for me.
Yeah,
But
it's just like that like single comment or something where
for sure,
it's
and
like
yeah,
this is awesome, or I really like this or something like that, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
it fuels it. Yeah.
yeah, that is great fuel for artists. Like I'm sure it's the same for you. I'm assuming you're a bit of an artist, a
uh
creative.
yeah, I mean, I can art from here to there. I'm
Okay.
trying to learn, but I mostly do like YouTube and editing and stuff, and it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, where I get, if I
Yeah,
get a
right.
comment where it's like, oh, this is a great video or something like that, and I'm like, yeah, this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's the same kind of fuel. Like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this because if at least one person enjoys, it's worth doing.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Like exactly. Like that's what it is.
Hmm.
I think humans are just natural creators.
Hmm.
Um,
We
but
we
but
like
yeah,
to
like
hear the satisfaction, and like, I wouldn't say we always like to hear praise, but like we like to hear the efforts that we put into things be acknowledged, basically. Like if we put a
yes.
lot of effort into something and somebody says, oh, that was a good job, that's a really good feeling.
Oh yeah. Yep. The acknowledgement is really nice.
Hmm.
That pretty much sums up how I got into pixel art, I guess.
Yeah, so it's just trying to go down one path, and then you pulled the Spider-Man, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing, and it kind of just worked out in
Yeah.
your favor.
Yeah, like it just kind of fell into place because I've always pictured the way I pictured art was like a huge risk, right? Because you make something and you ask yourself, like, okay, who's gonna buy this? Who's gonna buy this shit, right?
Who's gonna
Like,
spend money on this?
yeah, that's I mean, that's how it is. But when you're working for a company, you know that it's gonna get used.
Right.
I guess that's the pros of being square and working in a company, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, I didn't get any of that. I didn't get any of that. So I was like, okay, so if doing it how everyone does it is not working out for me, then I might as well just um take the risk.
Yeah, take that step, basically. Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
I mean, getting that first commission's got to be like, oh, that's got to be
yeah,
like a
like
rush, right?
yeah, it is hell of a rush. It's like I went back to my question, who would buy this shit? And then there, yeah, right. And then
It's
this one random person from the internet, like,
who?
hey,
This is who would buy this shit,
yeah, this is who would buy this shit, and like, thank God they exist. you
right?
know?
That's why
Yeah,
we're here.
that's why we're here. Yeah.
So pixel art, right? Some
Mm,
people might say pixel art is like not really hard or is not as challenging as it may
mm,
seem because like oh they see like traditional art and all that stuff and they see all the smooth edges and they think oh well pixel art's just like it's simple, you gotta like just place the pixels where you want it to go, it doesn't take a lot of challenge, but obviously mostly that's probably going to come from like people not knowing how it works. So to those
for
people
sure.
who might not understand it, what could you tell people about pixel art and the process of it that they might not know about that makes it more challenging than people might think?
I don't blame them for thinking that way. Compared to traditional art, pixel art is quite new.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think people understand it as much as traditional art. So I don't blame them. Like, they see like a little sprite and it's like it looks simple, right?
Right.
I don't think they factor in the fact that every pixel there's a thought in it. Every pixel matters. You look at a 32 by 32 sprite. How many pixels are there in a 32 by 32 sprite? Let me just pull out my calculator.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, so let me just pull out my calculator. 32. There's 1,024 pixels in that little sprite. Most of these, like probably 90 to 95% um, of these pixels, there's a bit of brain work into that,
Mhm.
including the empty space. You have to think about the empty space with regards to any form of art, not just pixel art. It's very flexible. It can be simple. It can also be complex.
Mhm.
Depends on the context. You increase the scope and the complexity varies. So, like I said, right, on a 32 by 32 canvas, you have 1,000 pixels to worry about. But you increase that, you make it 100 by 100. Geez, that's like
10,000 pixels.
you can see a lot of 100 by 100 canvas pixel art that are simple because they use only four colors, maybe two colors, maybe because the subject matter does not involve a lot of detail. The thing is that it can. The refinement process is the most tedious part of pixel art.
Mhm.
Let's say you want to make a curve, right?
Right.
It's kind of when you try making a curve in pixel art, you will see all of these pointy edges along the line because when you make a line in pixel art, it's made out of pixels and it's like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
It's squares.
there will be pointed parts on the curve. It will not look like a curve because of these pointy parts. You have to go to all of those pointy parts and take them out, and then you correct the curve with pixels. So it's like chiseling every nook and cranny of that curve. It's just a single curve. There's no such thing as like an art can't be one thing. It can't be all easy, it can't be all hard. Like, it's very flexible. yeah, they might think pixel art is easy, not hard, but I just think that they don't know what they're talking about.
So for your end of the pixel art side, what led down the, etchy slash NSF art
Ah,
side of pixel art? Is it something that, kind of came naturally, or was it something that you always had like in the back of your mind?
how do I begin with this? I want to make sure the way I say things doesn't come off as crass. Yeah, there. That's the
Right.
word. Yeah, right. I've always had an attraction and fascination with the female body. You know,
Mhm.
funnily, it happened when I was very young. Okay, I think I was like 4 or 5 years old, and we had some visitors at home,
Mhm.
and I busted in. No, not I didn't bust in. I snuck in. I snuck in a room where the TV was,
Mhm.
and it was like a bunch of grown-ups, men, bunch of men, like my uncles and my cousins, whoever, and they're watching. It's called Fashion TV. It's basically a channel on television where women would walk down a catwalk, like showcasing like fashion.
Right.
And the type of clothing that was being highlighted at that moment was bikinis,
Mhm.
and they were wearing thong bikinis.
Oh.
Yes. So I walk in, and then I see the screen, and it's like these women, and for some reason, I remember this clearly. I couldn't stop watching. Like I was so curious. Like oh, as a kid, you wouldn't really understand what's going on, right? It's like
Yeah, you're just like interested, I guess.
yeah, that's exactly it. It's like I couldn't stop looking. I think at that moment you could say that I was already an ass man. Like there's no other way. There's no other way to say it.
I'm sorry.
Like sorry. There's no other way
I,
to say it.
that's, I'm not
Yeah.
laughing at you, but this is the greatest origin story I've ever heard. I love it.
I've always I mentioned that I've always appreciated art.
Mhm.
Having all of these like sexy ideas and stuff like that. I've always wanted to be able to kind of like realize them. I
Mhm.
think that's the word for it. To realize them, put them
Yeah.
into drawing. But I could never quite capture. I could never quite capture the image in my head. They would always look so funny, and you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
bad anatomy and all of that shit, like a child's drawing, and it's obviously it's not sexy. One of my perverted, my fellow perverted friend, he was into hentai.
Mhm.
He was like, yo Mike, I drew something. He showed it to me. It was a lewd drawing of an anime girl. Well, it wasn't really lewd. It's more of like a bit of a classy pinup style art. The anime girl was naked, but she was in a nice pose,
Right.
like a glamorous pose. And I thought like, wow, like this is really nice. It didn't come off cheap or crass.
Right.
Uh, I told him like man, I wish I could draw like you. Like I've never taken art seriously. Like I've only taken it seriously when I actually started picking up pixel art.
Mhm.
But yeah, that stuck to me. So I've been learning pixel art, right? Getting better, slowly getting better. I'm managing to create better shapes, better lines, better rendering. And then one day I was like, I tapped into that self of mine. Like
Mhm.
maybe you're good enough to try and draw uh, human figures. Obviously, they weren't they weren't up to my standard. They were definitely better than when I drew my back when I was like younger.
Mhm.
So I figured like I could get better at doing this, and I could finally draw what I've always wanted to draw. I know that I'm most popular with my fans as a not safe for work artist, but I equally I equally appreciate video game art.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't produce it. I don't produce it as much as I do not safe for work art.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a time thing. If I had more time, I would also make more general art.
Yeah, no, but and especially pixel art, it's like lewd and like NSFW pixel art is like not really like super common, or at least it's like not something people usually think of when they think of like lewd art or think or something like that. They usually think of like hentai or stuff like that. I don't have a better way of saying this other than like, why do you think don't think more people appreciate like the NSFW like pixel art kind of thing?
I'm trying to put this into words without sounding harsh.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of quality that's quite common there. So I'd like to say also that this is also connected to what we were talking about earlier about how pixel art or any form of art can be easy or hard.
Right.
So I'm just gonna go and say it. So there's a type of quality that's quite common there, and the level of pixel art that's being practiced towards these not safe for work pixel art is very entry level.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just so many, and there are a lot of artists who throughout the years have been producing the same level, the same quality of pixel art. Like I feel like I'm not sure if they're getting better. Like I can't see it, right?
Right.
My temporary conclusion, maybe they're satisfied. Like they just like to be able to draw their fantasies.
Yeah, just like get it done quickly, kind of have it out there, kind of thing.
Yeah, get it done quickly. Get the job done. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they are trying to improve their craft, but not in the, I guess, the speed or in the frequency that most artists would do. I guess
Mm-hmm.
when a non-pixel artist would Google not safe for work pixel art, that's what would come out, right?
Right.
Because there's so many of them. But at the same time, at the same time, you also go to these not safe for work pixel art groups, and they would post there, and they would get like especially on Reddit, they would get like thousands of upvotes, like whoa, this simple not safe for work pixel art, it's like thousands of upvotes. They love this, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
like like they really there are people that really like it. Like I guess it's a niche, right?
Yeah.
And so I post mine. I
Mm-hmm.
post mine,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't get the same upvotes as the less refined ones. And I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Like
What is the point?
yeah, like I'm thinking like, am I doing some like this has been kind of going on, like am I doing something wrong? That like does my work lack charm the way theirs do?
Mm-hmm.
And but I'd like to say there are great not safe for work pixel art artists. Walnut Stint, they make beautiful, sexy pixel art. Like that is the kind of quality that I hope more people, including myself, would achieve. So maybe if more people were exposed to this kind of not safe for work pixel art, maybe it'll be more popular.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
Have you ever had any, interesting like fan interactions online?
It was a request for a commission.
Mm-hmm.
It was a request for a commission. It was a not safe for work commission,
Right.
and it was so weird. This guy, there was something off about him. Like very few words. He was like, so you do not safe for work art, and it's like yeah, I do. Like okay, what do you have in mind? And he was like, I want a naked pixel art of 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 this image, and he showed me the image, and I was like, oh, okay. Um, I've never I don't really do men, but I'm willing to challenge myself. I'm willing to try.
Right.
He was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then he tells me soon afterwards that it's actually a friend of mine. It's like- and I was like, whoa, okay, like,
Put the pen down. Whoa.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like asking, like, did you ask permission? Like, when you're a not safe for work pixel artist, you gotta be careful about so many things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those things, like, because it's a sensitive matter. So
Right.
they want their, yeah, it's like they want their friend drawn naked, but obviously you need their permission, right? So I
Right.
asked him, like, did you ask permission, like, and he was like,
That's not a good sign.
yeah. So it was like, he was like, I'll get back to you, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, he never came back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did he ever get back to you on that one?
Yeah, he never came back, and that was it. That was the only time. That was the only time I've ever had something like that.
I mean,
But
did you even like start the artwork before like he said anything?
no.
Okay,
I-
that's good.
yeah, no.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, if my friend came up to me and was like, "Hey, I want to commission someone to draw NSFW pixel art of you. Is that okay with you?" Like, what would like? What would you say?
Yeah,
Like,
like
thanks, I guess. Like,
I mean, they're just all sorts of people, right?
I guess, yeah.
I guess some people would find it flattering, like, oh, I guess you find my body like
Attractive, thanks.
attractive or appealing. I don't know. It's an adventure. It's an adventure being a not safe for work artist.
I was gonna say. The funny thing is, he let that information out on his own too. Like,
Yeah.
like he could have just not said anything, which would have been obviously worse. But like the fact that he just like said it anyway was like, he was just like, oh yeah, I gotta tell him about this.
he was obviously like new to this commissioning thing. Let me get back to you on it.
Let me get back to you. Meanwhile, you're like, don't ever get back to me again. I wish I was. I wish I could get live footage of the conversation he could have had with his friend about that. Just like, hey, I need your permission for something. What is like what is like your one definitive piece of advice you would give to any new artist out there, like whether it be pixel or regular artist that wants to maybe start getting into art?
My answer would be
The police.
my answer would be if you really like art, then you would find a way to make something of it. Like, yeah, well, why?
There's
What's up?
fucking sirens in the background and stuff.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
sorry.
sorry about
It's
that.
fine.
Nah.
It's just every time you come in, there's like police
Oh, yeah,
sirens in
oh,
the background. I'm like trying to focus, but I keep hearing someone get arrested.
It's not a soundboard. It's not
No.
a soundboard.
No, it just sounds like someone's like getting arrested in the background.
Yeah, my window is just right beside the street.
No, it's fine. It's just funny.
If you really love what you're doing, then you'll make a way to make it happen, right? There's a quote that Mark Hamill said, and I really like it. Said something like, you're in charge of your own standards. You can set it in a way where you can be satisfied about everything. So you can lower your standards and be happy with everything. Or you can bring it to a point where you're constantly challenged. You'll have it more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously there are pros and cons to both. But that's how it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the same with art. You can set your standards low so that you're satisfied with your art, or you can keep challenging yourself and trying to get better at your craft. If you're asking other people if doing art is worth it, I think that says a lot already. That
Mm-hmm.
says a lot about your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
At the end of all my interviews with content creators, I always like to ask if there's anything that they're working on right now that they'd be willing to give the audience a little sneak peek of for watching the interview.
I don't. Okay, so I'm actually working on a lot of things right now, but none of them. I don't think any of them are worth sneak peeking. Like, sorry.
They'll
Yeah,
be there when they
sorry.
be there.
Yeah, like, but I guess I do. I can at least share one of the things that I'm slowly working towards making my own game.
Oh.
Like I said, like I do have a strong passion for video games as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I don't really show it. I don't really show it, but I think this is the time for me to show it. But not I can't right now because I have nothing. I'm still compiling and I guess consolidating all of my ideas into a GDD, game design document.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna start working on it for real, like by the start of next year. So, and ultimately, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to make games.
Mm-hmm.
The not safe for work stuff is more of a it's more of a hobby, really.
Yeah, I think that is everything. So, once again, I just want to say, thank you to MYKAR for, taking your time out of your day and coming and doing this interview with me.
It's my pleasure, and I really appreciate you choosing me. It's this is also like another like it's very motivating to know that someone's like willing to interview me.
Yeah, of course. Just for the last thing, is there anything you want to say to any of your fans out there that might be listening? Any words of, wisdom you want to share with your fans out there?
Words of wisdom. What kind of wisdom can you gain from a not safe for work?
Maybe I guess gratitude maybe.
Gratitude. Well, yeah, I really appreciate all of you. I wouldn't be where I am right now if it weren't for the audience.
Mhm.
I I mean, yeah, as I said, I had a shit job. I was in a financial turmoil and all of that shit. But because of the recognition and all of the appreciation, I managed to make a living out of my art. And there's nothing better than for a creator. There's nothing better than being able to make a living out of your craft.
Mhm.
So I will eternally be grateful. Thank you.
Well, that about wraps it up. So thank you once again for coming out here today, and thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
yeah, of course. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all later. Take care.
Let's see you.